If your house is not selling right now, there's a very good chance it's not just the market. It might have been something that you actually said. And I know that sounds crazy, but bear with me because you're probably sitting there thinking, look, I did everything right. I priced it based on what I saw. I told the agent exactly what I wanted. And right, that might be the problem because a lot of what feels right in this process might quietly work against you. And some of you already know this. You've had a listing up for a few weeks. You're checking it every day, refreshing it like it's going to magically change, and nothing is happening. You're not getting any calls. There are no showings. There's no real movement. And you're starting to wonder, is it the house or is it something else? So let's walk through it little by little because most of this comes down to a very few specific mistakes, especially the things sellers say right at the beginning. Now, here's one mistake. Let's take mistake number one. We're not in a hurry. Don't say this. This one sounds smart, but to an agent, they're hearing you say something different. And when you're talking to an agent, you say, hey, yeah, we want to sell, but we're not in a rush. And in your mind, that means, hey, you know what? I'm not going to be desperate. I'm not desperate. I'm not going to be lowballed. You're trying to protect your position, which is theoretically smart. But what the agent is actually hearing is, this is not urgent. And let me translate that into real life. If you've ever had multiple text messages to respond to, you don't answer the one that says, whenever you get time. You answer the one that says, hey, I need this right now. And it's the same thing here. Agents prioritize movement. They prioritize momentum. So when you position yourself as not in a hurry, you quietly move yourself to the back of that line. And a lot of you have felt this. You're sitting there like, hey, why aren't we getting showings? Why does it feel like nothing is happening? Well, because the process is matching your energy. You said it wasn't urgent. So now it's not. That brings us to mistake number two, which is being at every showing. And this one, a lot of people or a lot of agents see it all the time. And I get it. It's your house. You care. And you want to be there to explain things and point things out and answer these questions. But from the buyer's perspective, it's like trying to shop in a store while the owner follows you around the aisle. You don't get a chance to relax. You don't get to explore. You don't get to settle in and envision your life there. You don't say what you really think. So it's like test driving a car with the seller sitting right there next to you going, hey, so what do you think? You're not going to say, hey, yeah, this feels off. You're just going to leave. And that's what buyers do. They just leave. Not because the house is terrible, but because the experience was uncomfortable in itself. And some of you already know this feeling. You've had people walk through and they nod and they smile and then nothing, no offer, no feedback. They're just gone, and it's not random. It's a form of friction. So here's mistake number three, guys. Telling the agent what your house is worth. And this one feels logical enough. You meet the agent and you say, hey, you know what? I think the house is worth about this much. And you throw out a number. And here's where it gets tricky, because whatever number you say, you just anchored the entire conversation. If your number is too high, some agents will agree, not because it's right, but because they just want the listing. So it's like telling a mechanic what you think is wrong with your car. And suddenly, that's exactly what they fix. Now, you're listed too high. What do? The first weeks are going to go by, nothing happens. And then suddenly, we need to drop the price. And it's not going to be a little, it's going to end up being a lot. And you're sitting there like, wait, how did we get here? And a lot of you have said this exact thing because you lost your best window. Those first 2 to 4 weeks, that's like opening night for a movie. That's when everyone's paying attention. If it flops there, it's very hard to recover. Which brings us to mistake number 4, acting like you're ready to hire immediately. Now this one's subtle because you meet an agent and you're like, hey, you know what? Let's do this. I'm ready. You think you're being efficient, but what you're actually doing is removing competition. And you need competition. Because when there's no competition, effort ends up dropping. It's like a job interview where the company already decided to hire you. Are they going to ask tough questions? Are they going to push for the best outcome? Probably not. And it's the same thing here. If the agent feels like they've already won, they don't have to. So break down the strategy, explain positioning, really sell you, make them really sell you on their approach. They just move forward. And then later, when things aren't working, you don't even know what should have happened differently. So create that competition. And mistake number 5 is revealing your bottom number too early. This one can cost you real money because once that number is out there, it's no longer a negotiation, it's a target. It's like walking into a poker game and turning your cards face up. There's no tension anymore. No reason to push, no reason to fight for a better outcome. And some of you already feel this. You get an offer, and instead of negotiating upward, everything starts drifting toward that number you mentioned early on. Now, eventually, yeah, that conversation has to happen, but not at the beginning. Not before you even know what the market might give you. Because once it's said, you just can't unsay it. Now, mistake number 6 is overpricing the home. And this is a big one. And this is where a lot of you are stuck right now because the market has changed, but expectations haven't. Sellers are still pricing like it's a different time, but buyers are sharper right now. They're more sensitive. They're running the numbers harder. So when a home is overpriced, they don't negotiate, they skip. It's like scrolling Netflix. The moment something doesn't look right, you just move on. And once buyers skip your listing, you lose that momentum. And momentum is everything. Because time on market, being too long on the market becomes a signal. The longer it sits, the more people assume something's wrong, even if nothing is actually wrong in the first place. And now you're forced into price cuts, which makes you look exactly like what you were trying to avoid, which is desperate. Now, mistake number 7 is this. It's ignoring how the house feels. Buyers don't just evaluate a house, they experience it. They have to envision their life there. And if they walk in and it feels dark or cluttered or heavy, they don't picture themselves there. They just picture you. It's like trying to imagine living in someone else's life. It doesn't click. And emotion matters here more than people think because buying a home isn't just math, it's a feeling. And if that feeling isn't there, the deal isn't there. Mistake number 8, waiting for the right buyer. Now, this one sounds patient, but it is dangerous because the market is moving whether you move or not. Waiting doesn't freeze time, it lets things drift. And some of you are seeing this in real time. You had a chance months ago, maybe even a year ago, and now you're looking at the same house, same listing, less interest because conditions have changed, buyers have changed, and now you're trying to catch a moment that's already passed. So here's a final thought, guys. If you're sitting there right now thinking, yeah, you know what, I did that, believe me, you're not alone. Most of these mistakes feel normal in the moment. We all do them, but they don't feel like mistakes. They feel like common sense. But real estate isn't just about what makes sense to you. It's about how your decisions are being interpreted by the people on the other side of that deal. And once you see that, once you understand how these small things add up, you stop fighting the process.